Has real pieces of horse saddle. Yeah, it's a little salty from the sweat. Yeah.
Welcome to the Beat Around the Bench podcast about woodworking, good times, and general jackassery. With your hosts, Jess of Jess Build It, Colton of Cold Crit, and Ross of RNC Woodworking and Designs. You can find us all on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. In this week's episode, we prep for Workbench Con. Jess gets tuned up under the stairs, Colton is in the misery business, and Ross goes from ski slopes to new hopes. All of that and more is coming right up on this episode of the Beat Around the Bench podcast. Now for episode 93, Saturday Night Fever Tree.
Okay, two things. One, Fever Tree. Is that a thing?
Yes, I had to look it up because I knew of
me.
Fever Tree, the additive for.
I've heard of Fever Tree.
Yeah, but you've heard of tonic, Fever Tree tonic.
Oh, that's where I know it from.
Yeah, that's where I know it from too. But turns out it's an actual thing. And if you Google Fever Tree, there's a long Latin name for it, but it is actually an English species of wood called a fever tree.
You're getting quiet. You got quiet. Okay.
Man, Fever Tree. So I like their ginger beer a lot. That brand.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a real Fever Tree on the logo.
I'm sure it is. It's called the Vicellia xanthropolia, and it's the commonly known in English as the fever tree. It's native to eastern and southern Africa, and it became a landscape tree in warm climates.
Huh. Hey, Ross, you're real quiet.
Quiet,
it all of a sudden, it just kept going quieter.
Huh.
Do you put some on your keyboard?
Nope. Is this any better?
No.
At all?
No?
No.
I've literally
Oh,
changed.
there we go. We're back. Welcome back.
Have changed nothing.
Okay.
But okay.
All right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, so we've been keeping a theme going, so let's do this. Okay, homemade, the best ever. And you have to pick one, Ross. You don't get to tell me what we're going to put in it, all right? So homemade split pea soup, lentil soup, vegetable soup, or chicken noodle soup. What would you pick? And you're not sick or nothing, but it's winter. I'll give you that.
Is the lentil soup Mediterranean style or just English style?
I don't know what that means. I don't know. My mom's lentil soup was pretty good. I don't know. She boil a ham bone, the whole deal.
So lentil soup is incredible, but if you ever get it at a shawarma place, the lentil soup at a Mediterranean spot is just ridiculous.
What do they use, lamb?
No, I mean it's the same kind of lentil, but they have a lot more spices in the broth, and they cook it longer, almost like a red beans and rice thickness. Yeah, it's really good.
Lentils is hard.
I would go with lentil.
Yeah.
Do you know the difference between a lentil and a chickpea?
No, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
This one's not appropriate.
No, yeah, I'll tell you after. DM me for the answer.
I actually make chili, and I started putting a couple cans of lentils in it, and it adds that hardiness to it, that earthiness to it, and it's that becomes my favorite part of it. Yeah.
Huh. All right.
I think I'd go with lentil. I'm not super familiar. I mean, I like hummus a lot.
Yep.
If that's technically a
lentils,
soup.
Lentils like have rocks in the bag. Like you have to check lentils very carefully.
Yeah.
My mom's split pea soup, oddly enough, she'd put the potatoes in it, and she would usually.
Would she put ham bone in there?
She'd have the ham. And people would be like, "Did your mom make her split pea soup?" It was because we were working in that neighborhood for a while, and oh my God, it was just so good. I totally take it for granted because she was soak the beans, the whole.
Oh yeah,
no
do it all right.
No cans of anything. She always had stock in the freezer from when we had a chicken. It was always
That's awesome.
Kind of, yeah, really good stuff. Really good stuff. So anyway.
So yeah, that's what I would go with. Although I will say, some of my favorite soups are cream-based soups. So cream of chicken and wild rice, almost nothing better.
Cream and potato with leek.
Yeah.
Leeks, that's good. All right, so what kind of grilled cheese are we going to have with this?
Ooh.
Cheese, bread.
All right. I'm going to give you two options.
Okay.
Standard would be either multigrain or a white bread, a little bit of mayo on the outside to toast it up while you're grilling it.
Okay.
And then just sharp cheddar on there, keeping it simple.
All right.
That's option 1.
Sounds good.
Option 2, Texas toast,
Okay.
heavily buttered on the outside of the toast. Then that's griddled up. And while that's cooking, you have sharp cheddar on both sides. Or sorry, you have American cheese on both sides, but you have fresh brisket in between.
Oh, geez.
So it's a brisket grilled cheese.
Okay, so that's the sandwich.
Yeah. So is a grilled cheese.
I'll take the brisket. I'll take the brisket. I like a good sourdough with like maybe some Munster.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you want to get wild, you put a couple of blue cheese crumbles in it, or even feta crumbles in it. Aldi started selling cheese. Well, I shouldn't say they started. They have cheese curds.
Yep.
And you can get like Cajun or garlic cheddar.
Yeah.
And those things will do some crazy things.
Oh yeah. So
Hmm.
I had to combine both of these topics. I had a soup one time. It was a lobster cappuccino bisque, and the chef who made it. So literally, it was a lobster bisque, and the chef. So a little bit of background: I was hosting a Scotch whiskey dinner way back in the day, and the chef who was doing this was a Michelin star trained chef, and he worked at a restaurant that basically just did burgers and fries. And he's like, "Please let me come up with the menu." I was like, "Dude, here are the tasting notes. Go nuts." He came up with a food pairing for our 15-year-old Scotch at the time, and it was a lobster cappuccino bisque. So a lobster bisque with cappuccino whipped into it. He also then had roasted fennel on top, and instead of croutons, it was pieces of grilled cheese sandwich floating on top. Oh my God, it was so good.
Oh, that's awesome.
The cappuccino, like not overbearing, just that.
It was the foam.
Yeah.
It was a foam from the cappuccino whipped into the bisque, and it just put that little bit of zing in there. It was so good.
I'm sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Also on the soups, I had pasole, I think they're calling it.
Yeah.
The first time we had it, and I had a red one, and then I had one Michoacan style, which is where Rick's wife's from, and one of our guys too. It's a white style. Or it's a white color. But it's basically just means it's not spicy, more or less.
Okay.
Definitely a fan of the red.
Okay.
But I don't know. That's one of those soups, so it's kind of like asado. Like you only have it once a week at the most. Like it's every once in a while. Like maybe a good hangover cure, kind of like menudo.
So
it like goes out. It kind of greases you up a little bit.
There is a soup you can get in New Orleans, and it is specifically made for recovering from a night of drinking and partying, and it is called yakamine. And it is one that everybody needs to look up. It is one of the yakamine. It's a beef broth with chunks of like stew beef in there. There's 4 or 5 different spices, but it's like a very spicy broth to it. There's garlic and onion and then spaghetti noodles in there, and a hard-boiled egg cut on top. And it is one of the best like hangover cures, but it is one of the best soups that's super, super simple. And especially in this time of year, everybody needs to look up yakamine.
All right.
Interesting. You know, last few podcasts with us talking about food starting off, I hope everyone, like if they're listening to us in the morning commute or whatever, have had dinner yet or breakfast at some point.
Yeah.
I know I'd be hungry. But
I listen to people talk about food sometimes and I get really get hungry, like super hungry. The reason I mentioned it is because my wife decided to get food poisoning yesterday.
Oh, that was nice of her.
Well, actually, it wasn't yesterday. It was the night before. And we were assuming it was food poisoning because it was like real quick.
Yep.
She had some salad at a restaurant. And
always on the lettuce, man.
The stinking lettuce. E. coli is real bad about lettuce and like farms being next to dairy farms. But anyway.
People don't wash their vegetables enough is the problem.
And I don't even know if that washes it off the lettuce, to be honest with you. But it definitely isn't going to hurt.
Yeah.
So we got home and her stomach hurt and she was sick, like heaving for hours.
Ugh.
Like 12 hours.
Wow.
To the point where like
Dude, that's exhausting.
Yeah, sure.
Over a salad. I hope it was like topped with something really good.
That's what we said. It wouldn't
It's
happen if
be
you'd had a
6 for
burger.
12 hours.
So anyway, so finally, I had to go to run to work and get the guys going, and then I came back. Her dad took her to the
Urgent care or something.
and they said, you got to let this pass through. Here's some nausea medicine.
Mm.
But don't take it for about 12 hours. You just try to hydrate.
Yeah.
If you go like 2 or 3 days, you don't have anything, that's different. But
Yeah.
and so by that night, she was able to keep some Pedialyte down.
Yep.
Within 24 hours, and
Wow, that's bad.
It was really bad.
That's
so
real
she
bad.
said, I don't want anything heavy. I want some soup. And I said, okay, order all the stuff you want for tonight. And I'll make you a from scratch soup. So she decided on vegetable, and we used, she bought vegetable broth, and then we got zucchini, carrots, celery, onion, then spinach and broccoli at the end. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I still put a little chicken, better than bouillon in there.
Dude, that's the best stuff. Best stuff.
All of their stuff. Their vegetables really good too. She should have bought that. But yeah, it's pretty good. And then we put didilatani pasta. It's the little itty bitty round ones. Didilatani, I think is what it's called.
SpaghettiOs.
Okay.
No, they're even smaller. They're like little. I don't even know how to describe it, but anyway, it was pretty good.
Nice.
So that's what made me think of it.
Yeah.
I'm not big on soup. I like it, but like a good I have this tomato soup that we've been making that's excellent. All from scratch with all these tomatoes you roast, and it's good. But like my favorite part's the grilled cheese. I just am not full without a lot of protein.
That's fair, man. That's fair. I'm actually sending you guys a Yakimean recipe because it's too good not to have.
Oh, I wonder. That sounds like it could be something with Crystal. So her craving,
it's so good. So
right?
good.
With her pregnancy and stuff, her cravings have been changing, right? I think it started off with potatoes, and then it went to beef jerky, which that was a good one.
That's a fun one.
You don't have to cook it; like it's healthy, whatever. Then it went to candy.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went. Now it's at ground beef or ground meat, right?
Huh.
And yeah. So this Yakimean thing,
dude,
sounds pretty beefy. I think that might be a good thing. We'll try it out.
Try it out. Follow the recipe I just sent you guys. It's super easy. The lady that I sent you, she's actually known as the Yakimean lady, and she makes her entire life following around second line. So like when people are walking down the street, and there's like a jazz band up front, and they're walking down the streets of New Orleans, and people are just raising umbrellas and left and right. She literally follows them around with this cart of Yakimean.
No kidding. Do they call it the Yakamama?
They should, if they don't.
Yakamama.
Yakimean.
Yeah.
Oh, it kind of looks like a little bit of a ramen. But...
A little bit, but it's spicy. It's got so much like flavor to it. It's awesome. So what's going on in the woodworking world, boys?
Man, I'll go first. Man, today leaving the shop, or yesterday leaving the shop, I was king of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Rick's been out at a conference this week, and I finally am out of College Station, and so I'm having just pure shop time, and it's awesome.
Congrats, man.
We even have like temp workers with us, doing like some of the other stuff and whatever. And yeah, it's a whole operation. It's going great. Yesterday was going great. And then today it was going really good up until the very end. And I'm telling you, man, today leaving the shop, like I felt like a failure. Like, I was just having one of those moments like, what the hell am I doing? I'm so incompetent. I'm an idiot. This is dumb. Like, what am I doing with my freaking life? Seriously. Yeah. And it took me all afternoon to shake it off to get here. Be happy again. But basically our entire team metaphorically had built this giant ice cream sundae, right? And I had helped some too. We put different scoops, sprinkles, chocolate. And then I'm here at the very end with the cherry, put the cherry on top, and it topples the whole freaking sundae over. Which is not messed up, but so I've been a lacquer machine the last 2 days, and anyone in Texas knows that it's freaking freezing right now. It was 27 degrees when I got to the shop today, which is really like freak out cold. Like there's no traffic. Everyone's staying home in Texas. Yeah. It's yeah,
It's like
everyone's
a
just
summer day in Chicago.
covering pipes, huddling down. Yeah, it's a big deal here. And oh, what was it? And our shop is not climate controlled, right? And so I got all sorts of propane heaters going, and I'm like, crap, this stuff we got to get this out like Monday, or it's several different jobs. It's past due. We got to go. How am I going to spray? And I finally got the temperature in the shop up to where it's not just like dumb cold, and then sprayed thin layers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's something else I did. I didn't do any additives to the lacquer, mostly because it's at the very end of our 5-gallon bucket of it, right?
Yeah.
Or at least the one I'm using right now.
Yeah.
And it's a satin lacquer, and I'm pretty sure that there's already been stuff put in there before. And so I didn't want to add any like fisheye killer or retarder to it at this point.
Yeah.
And so yeah, yesterday I did like an initial spray on a handful of pieces, like a side of a piano, which that was intimidating. Just because, there's been so much done on it. I don't want to have to go backwards on it.
Is this the one that you guys had like redone the whole thing?
Yeah. And so I actually fixed the action on that today too. And that was pretty cool. Got pretty creative on that. But, and then for the same customer, there's like this like grand table that has like gold leafing on the sides.
Okay.
Like real ornamental. And then like there's even granite pieces in the skirt.
Ooh.
And then the top has all this neat marquetry, right? And Rick had sprayed it when I was in College Station, right? And he had a decent spray on it. And he's like, oh, I think the table might need another coat. And before he left, I was like, okay, cool, I'll check it out. And sure enough, there's like one corner, like, yeah, I think it could use another coat. And sure enough, I put a coat on it today, and it's I thought I even had the shop even hotter than yesterday. I thought I did everything right. There was at one point where my gun started spraying weird, but it just turned out not great. And there was like 1/4 of this whole table that had like rough patches with this satin lacquer.
The way your mother likes it, Trebek.
Right. And somehow it cured way faster than we expected, right? With the lower temperature, you expect it to cure slower, right? Like it's almost like retarded, or like retarded slower is the word
slowed.
for it. Yeah. Sorry, that sounded weird when it came out. But and so I was like, all right. And then some other pieces came out like that, but some others were good. Oh, I did a church pew today too. That was kind of neat. Another weird thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so I decided to let the lacquer sit for a little period of time, let it somewhat air out, and then I was going to do another layer. And I was like, oh, this is genius. It's going to work great. And no, it got way worse. And I guess it didn't gas enough. I should have just left it at the first one. And so like this project that's coming to a culmination that should be whenever Rick gets here tomorrow, like, look what all we did. This is amazing. We're catching back up on schedule. And instead, we get to the shop early with the guys and start sanding out these craters. And so I was trying to think of what was happening. I think it just didn't gas out like it should be. And it was too many mils thick for air, as cold as it is.
Yep.
And I don't know, lacquer is, sometimes I love it. I'm like, we should use this on everything. And then sometimes I'm like, this is the most frustrating stuff. This is supposed to be a professional shop. How can we be using it? And it's just a roller coaster for me. And yeah, it made me feel incompetent. Like, it's my freaking job, and I screw it up. And
Colton, did you ever show Rick that laser finish remover?
Crap, no. Oh, I sent it to him, and I talked to him about it. He had not heard of it. Oh, yeah, he wasn't familiar with it, and he was actually open to hearing more about it.
I'm
And
just
he was
wondering
like-
if on a situation like this where you need to like redo an entire section, if you could use the laser to remove like the part you need and then build up that area again.
Just remember, it superheats all the moisture in the. It's like water spritzing it. It does make the grain very rough at first. It has to be sanded. That's the only thing. There's some guys that had like a channel on like TikTok or whatever, and they were doing it. That was it. I mean, you just watch it. It's like super satisfying, right? It was a big hit. But I could see in the picture where it like really brought the grain like way up. You know?
Yeah, but if you only have to sand it like once after that, it's still a lot easier than hours and hours of.
Oh, well, it's impossible to. I mean, aside from the tediousness of strippers.
Yeah. I mean, let's give it up for the adult dancers of the community. I don't know that they're tedious, but they're working.
Yeah, I mean, oh, dude, if we could cut out stripping, I guess I would. I wonder how that
That's
would do.
probably
on
why it was so
removing-
cold in the shop. You guys had no clothes on.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, I wonder on that laser if it would remove how it does with like stain. Right.
I mean,
So,
the
like,
video I sent you was stain being removed.
Right.
Or was it really old finish?
Yes.
I don't know. I would love to think that because it's going to take that stain with the finish. I love it. I mean, I want to do something with it. I love the idea.
Yeah. Once the dust settles in the shop and we're back to, well, we'll probably never be back to normal.
I bet. I bet.
Once we're dust settles, at least we'll.
With
I'll talk to Rick more seriously about it.
as big a company as he is, if you guys got some old pieces that are like junk, like an old door or
Yeah, just get something at like a thrift store.
You could get a demo from that company to come out and say, because it's expensive. I'm sure, like we were thinking about this. We're going to expand, blah blah blah. I bet you could get them to come out and demo it, and that would be amazing.
Yeah. Or I wonder, maybe they go to a conference or something. We should invite them to Workbench Con.
Or just see, maybe they would just put you in contact with another company in the area that has one and let you go see it. That's usually how companies will do that kind of stuff. Like you can use another company's reference, and you can. We sold one, and they're 100 miles from you, and whatever.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's true. Jess, how about you? How are things on your end, sir?
Good. I'm having a little trouble with my Googles. Like I tried to start my handyman one back up. Didn't work. Tried to start up the Just Build It one. Didn't work. Suspended immediately before I even finished filling it out. And it says that it was deceiving content. I was like, I don't even have anything on here yet. I'm still filling it out. What are you guys doing? So it's going to take a minute. I appealed the one on Handyman way back when. I have not heard anything. All it says is submitted. And I had this kind of stuff happen when we were doing the woodworks and the Get Me Cabinet stuff because of like a couple places at the same address. But I appealed it, and like within 45 minutes, some guy reads it and goes, "Oh, okay," and then they open it back up.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's deceiving.
Ooh, they're almost onto you, but you're
I don't know
your
what's
fake
deceiving.
woodworks.
Maybe it's because I'm not putting a service address because it gives you the option.
Yeah.
But as a it's like a plumber. He doesn't have a service address. They just have an office where everybody goes, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got to look into it. The problem is they're very vague. It doesn't tell you what. It says it could be, if this is what it says, it could be one of these 10 things. And none of them are true. So that's the part that I can't figure out. On happier news, I bought that computer I was showing you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
On eBay.
The gaming one?
Yeah. So hopefully that'll be good for SketchUp. And then this monitor that I'm looking at you on that we got used, AKA just open box on Amazon.
Nice.
I bought another one, and they had it on eBay for even cheaper than what I paid for this one.
Nice.
And it's brand new. It's actually sitting in the box right behind me. So the new computer will be able to display it at its proper display level because it's a 38 to something, 3800 by like 2600 display.
Yeah.
But this computer I've got it on can't handle that. It doesn't have a graphics card. So I think it's going to be kicking for SketchUp,
Nice.
which is basically all I'll use it for.
That and the video editing you're going to get to do.
Yes, this is true. And then, actually, to be honest with you, it works better to edit on our iPad than it does on it. My wife just drags and drops it. It's instantaneous. Sometimes we'll take some things into Canva if it's something that we specifically want to do with Canva. But
yeah,
for the most part, the video editing on our iPad Pro is like, I mean, there's no lag at all. It's really quite good. CapCut's got a pretty good bit of software, the CapCut Pro.
Okay.
And then the Understairs project, I had what Colton was talking about moment today where I was like, I am not good at this. I suck at this. I'm stupid. Like, and basically what it was is like there was a door and a drawer front, and it was a wrong size. And I was like, I drew this stupid thing. The guys made what I told them to make. Like, what is wrong? And I think it was like I had an earlier version and it kind of got like a screenshot of that. And that's what they wound up with. And then it got changed later because I noticed one drawer was wrong and then we fixed the drawer and somehow that got resized. And so no harm, no foul. I called him. I said, here, make this new drawer front, make this new drawer front while I'm gone. The company is starting to shift now to what we're shifting to. And I had to let a guy kind of go today. Basically, he's just going to be on as needed, which it's no fault of his own, but he's the least experienced, which sucks. But he seemed okay with it. And we've had a bunch of projects come in, so he might actually stay pretty busy at the end of the day. Yeah, and then I got the whole under the stairs. But other than that, the under the stair thing could not have been done as good as I did it without SketchUp. It looks pretty stinking good. I mean, obviously, there's things once you get there on unlevel floors and stuff like that, but the angle was perfect. My gaps were perfect. Everything worked out. There's just things you have to remember when you draw on a computer, it is perfect. And where you're going is not. And the people that are making it are not. And so you have
not
to
with that
really,
attitude.
No, you have to think like, where am I giving allowances? Like if this wall's in or out or a little bit, or, you know, like where am I giving myself allowances? Like what if he makes this and the box is a 16th heavy? Is that going to throw something else off, you know, and so on and so forth. So you just have to allow for that.
Yeah, that's what I have to explain it to our scheduler or our office manager, if you will, all the time, is that we're taking something dirty, gray, messy, and trying to make it black and white.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, custom stuff this was a more complicated build, even though it was simple, but I just was nervous. You know, you don't want to. You talk about feeling like a failure. Get someplace and it doesn't fit. That is just like, oh my gosh, like, why didn't I think of this? I've been doing this so long. Why didn't I knew this. I knew this. Why didn't I do this? There was some things that the guys caught that was excellent. Like hinges would have been hitting drawer glides. They caught that, you know, and so we avoided things like that because those are some silly things that happen if you're not paying attention. But the biggest rule that I have, and it's not really a nugget for today, but the biggest rule that I have come over years and years of experience, I have two rules. One, I want to go see it myself. I don't care what the customer tells me. I don't know what they measure. I don't care. I want to go see it myself. Two, mock it up in the shop. Put the whole stinking thing together just like it's supposed to go in the house. Mock it up, because it's a lot easier to shave a drawer glide or shave a drawer front or move a drawer glide or do something there than it is to get, you know, who knows, especially if it's a place that's a long way away.
Yeah.
The driving and the multiple trips, and then having scheduled that with a customer, and then, you know, waiting, you know, you were supposed to get your last payment. Now you're not. And like, just mock it all up in the shop, no matter how difficult it is. put all the doors on, then take them all back off if you have to.
Hmm.
And then at least you'll know, it's good. So, but other than that, it was a good day. Tomorrow I have 3 estimates to go to, a kitchen to bid for the people that we did the under the stairs are that we'll definitely get, and I have to do some reports, and I have to. Oh, we got a Tires Plus cash wrap that's got like a little handicap like place for someone with a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I gotta make. They finally paid a deposit.
Cool.
So I gotta draw all that up. Lots of laminate the past couple of weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last
thing. And we had a lady from the county walking around, and I said, "Can I help you?" So we were driving off, and she goes, "We got a odor complaint." And I was like, well, we use latex, so there's like basically no odor from the water-based paints. I mean, maybe a little, but
yeah,
I don't know. I said
That's scary.
Use laminate. We've been doing laminate the past few days, and the Wilson Art stuff smells really strong, and they kind of vent it outside. Maybe that's it. She goes, okay. And I was like, we don't spray it or anything. They tried spraying it with that gun. It didn't. They decided because they didn't want to waste it, so they started rolling it. So that smells pretty strong. Maybe it's the paint.
Do you know who made the complaint?
No, they don't tell you that.
Oh, if you find out, maybe go bring a box of cookies or something.
You know,
like, if that goes up to the EPA, we dread. We're very aware of that. We don't spray lacquer
though. We only spray water based, which is completely legal.
Which I could still imagine though, like someone who doesn't know woodworking like that, like investigating your shop, like that just seems like a nightmare.
I had to deal with it with the fire. What do they call them? The fire marshal.
Yep, fire inspector.
And they will come and look and look at all your chemicals and stuff. And he's like, why do you have xylene? Why do you have this? Why do you have that? And I was like, look, bro, this is for cleaning stuff. I was like, go look at all my paint. And he's like, you got kills. And I was like, I don't spray that stuff. And I was like, it's too hard to clean the gun out. Like, I don't spray anything oil-based. And I was like, here's our finishes. And they're like, they kind of give me the side eye. And I was like, just do a surprise inspection. I was like, you're never going to catch us spraying it because nobody's going to clean the gun out with mineral spirits. No. Nobody's going to clean the gun out with acetone. Like, it's not happening. These are for cleaning things or cleaning tools, but not for, and they're like, all right. He's like, and I was like, we can't afford a booth and there's no place to put it. So,
yeah.
They would have a heyday in our shop.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, that's it in a nutshell.
And then you wonder how big of a nut has a shell that big.
Oh, and then the last thing is, I didn't tell you this. So I've been working on my house and my wife wanted to widen the door, right? No problem. And move the switch. Okay, fine. Then I start getting into it. Termites. Every stud.
What?
So no alive termites, old dead stuff, but to the point where like I couldn't even really work with it. The plaster was just like sitting there, because all the nails weren't holding in anything. So the lath at the top was holding it. So I had to do some electrical, and I was like, I'm just going to tear off this side of the wall. So I tore it all off, and I really spent a lot of time checking it. They've been dead for there was a water leak a long time ago there. They've had a new roof since. And you know how termites and pine and water go together.
So when you replace that wall, are you going to do plaster or are you going to do...
No, just drywall.
Drywall. Okay. That was my question.
It's 3/4. I just put, because some of it stayed. So I just put 1/4-inch strips up and then put 1/2-inch drywall over the top of it.
When was it built?
In the 70s, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So I sent you guys a text, and those are the pictures I got from the tables that I had made for the Range Rover event that is in Deer Valley, Utah. And they look pretty grandiose. I was pleased with how they came out.
Dude, those are freaking fancy.
Looks like they bought them at IKEA. They're like gorgeous.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
I wouldn't say
that.
IKEA.
No, IKEA's got really sharp lines.
Is that gloss?
So that is the acrylic enamel paint, and then on top of it, I put the ceramic coat, the N3 Nano ceramic coat on top.
So you
Okay,
put
is it kind of
corner-
like a satin finish? It's hard to tell from the photos.
Yeah. So it is like
There's
a
some sheen to
satin or semi gloss to it. Yeah.
Dude, those look professional, man.
So
Thank
did
you.
you make these?
No,
little-
not that they are professional, but like they look really good.
Did you
Thank
make
you.
the pyramid base? Or
I did. I made both of the.
corner
There
molding
are
is a
two.
Great idea.
Yeah, so I had to do that simply because, and for the listeners, obviously you guys aren't looking at these pictures, but the pyramid base, as you screw or zoom in on it, I had to put external supports on there simply because, number one, with the size and shape of those pyramids, I couldn't get clamping pressure correctly, and then number two, I was starting to lose some of the laminate, the top laminate on the veneers of on the plywood. It was starting to come apart at the seams. So I put those caps on and holds everything in structurally
good.
as well as keeping that veneer on. So
Beautiful mistake. It looks great.
thank you. So wanted you guys to see the finished project. And,
Dude, that
The
looks,
chairs they put with it,
that looks
the place
awesome.
that it is with the snow in the background.
they had to move those big long tables with a snow cat with forks on the front. So
I hope they use blankets.
yeah, they did.
Okay.
So yeah, that was the.
is that a snow resort?
Yeah, it's Deer Valley Ski Resort in Park City, Utah.
Very cool.
But so yeah, that's how my week started, seeing that out there, which is pretty great. And then on top of it, Monday morning, 9 a.m., I delivered the new cabinet to the orthodontist, and by 9:05, I was done with the change out, which is incredible because I had built everything perfectly and pre-drilled where everything had to go. So I literally slid the old one out, had it out enough where it was still supporting the desktop, slid the new one in, switched the stuff from the old cabinet into the new cabinet, screwed in everything onto the bench top or desktop, and that was it. Like no other attachment necessary. It fit perfectly. So really pleased
they were
with that.
happy.
Oh, yeah.
That's all that matters.
And then
And
I asked him, I was like, because I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with the cabinet. I was like, do you guys have any use for this somewhere else in the office? They're like, yeah, just wheel it to the back and we'll figure out where to use it. I'm like, great. So they have two cabinets now, and I didn't have to bring one back to my office. So I was pleased with that. And so then I've been working on two projects this week, one of which is the guitar build or the bass build for a friend of mine. And the other one is that bathtub table. And on the guitar, I told you guys last week when I sanded everything down, it was Bondo that was on top of it.
right.
I did realize that sanding whatever they put down as the Bondo was creating all kinds of havoc on my lungs. That was not a fun couple days. But I did also find where I had to repair what the wood, like where there are chip outs and stuff in the finish and the actual wood body. I cut everything out and then replaced it with hard maple. And one of my nuggets was actually going to be using CA glue wherever possible, because you can basically put on these pieces with CA glue and a little bit of wood glue on there and then trim it up so it looks basically flush, come back with a router, and you can't find the seam anywhere. Like now that I've put primer on there, you cannot find where any of the seams are. You can't find where I did repairs. It is perfect. And I've done 4 coats of primer. I have another 3 coats to do just because of the way the customer wants it to stress later on. I need extra primer on there, but I'm really pleased with how it's gone so far.
Cool.
So
Right on. What brand of CA glue is your favorite?
So I tend to use it's one that everybody talks about.
Sarbon?
Yes, I use Starbond a lot, but I will say, don't sleep on. It's a blue bottle, and you get it at either Lowe's or Home Depot. Loctite. The Loctite super glue is also really good.
I've never used that one.
Yeah, if you need one in a pinch, if you're out of Starbond and you just need a clear super glue, the Loctite one is really good.
It's
Nice.
just expensive that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, in my home shop, I got the Starbond,
Yep.
right? The thick and the thin.
Yep.
And the colored one.
Yep.
And then
The activator. That's
for
the key.
like, yeah. There's two different kinds of activators.
I was unaware of this.
There's like the cheap one, which is like alcohol based,
Yep.
and like it's really easy to overcook your like when you spray too much and it like
bubbles,
hardens up and it like bubbles and turns white.
Yeah.
It's really easy to do that with the alcohol based one. And then I don't know what the base is for like the nicer.
Wait, is it not supposed to turn white and bubble?
Yeah.
No, my Mohawk stuff does not.
That would explain
I don't
why
know what the base
if I get that on my fingers,
it's a little bit slower. Sorry,
that would explain why when I get it on my fingers and the activator's on there, you're like, oh my God, it's like 3,000 degrees.
Yeah, no, it still gets that hot, except it's just not as fast. Like just like a touch, like a few seconds slower, but it's enough to not kick it.
So I don't know what it is, but I will tell you this. When I was little, my mom used to get her nails done.
Mm-hmm.
And they would do whatever it was they were doing on her nails and fill them and all that stuff. And they would use, you could smell it was like a type of acetone, acrylate stuff. And then she would spray this activator on it to make it hard. And my mom would go, oh. And so then they would have to tap their finger on the table, AKA what they said was to spread out the molecules so it wasn't like
burning up,
cooking your fingers. But whatever they used was, I don't think it had alcohol in it because it was safe for your hands. And so it's probably along that same.
Interesting. I used CA glue to fix one of Crystal's nails once. Only once though. Yeah. It like I didn't think about it. I just saw a broken thing and I was like, CA glue. And I was like, here, dab of this, baby. And then I hit it with the activator. And I was like, wait, this stuff gets hot. It burned her so bad. She's like, I'm not coming to you for anything ever again. This is terrible. Yeah.
So I use the CA glue to fill in, where I needed to, but that's coming along really well. I should be able to start putting on by this weekend some of the two different colors of pink that are going on. So that'll be interesting. But the other project, the tub table, I realized one of the things I was going to need to do was make a box joint jig at a 45-degree angle. And this is where it came into a little bit of engineering today. I had to figure out what I needed to do to get the correct angle for the reciprocating fingers because I need everything to overextend but still be tight because I'm going to cut everything flush and then round over the edges.
Sure.
So I needed like a little bit of extra meat on the bones. So today I literally spent like 2.5 hours trying to make the right jig for it. And I've never made a 45-degree box joint jig.
Okay.
And I'm really curious as to how it's going to work long term. I still don't have it perfectly dialed in.
I'm just trying to think. You got to have to send some video of that because I can't think of it.
That sounds neat. I think I'm picturing how you're doing it. What kind of wood are you using here?
So the entire piece has to be made out of white oak. And I have white oak I'm going to be using. However, I need to have the fold-up book stand in there, but the actual tub level or tub table level will be about 3 inches down from where the upper hands rest on the outside of the tub. And so basically I have to figure out how to get that 45-degree angle going up to the outsides of the tub from the table and then have it meet a 90-degree piece up there. So it's basically going to be 45s hitting in the middle, but the 90-degree piece needs to have a 45-degree reciprocating internal angle. And then it'll be a straight 90-degree on the back end of that to hold on to the outside of the tub.
So your inside angle's obtuse.
Yes.
Oh, that's a lot trickier than I was picturing.
My best guess is some type of blocking that you're going to put in your normal box joint jig to hold the piece where you want to hold it.
If I cut it at the 45, I don't have to do that. That's what I was trying to figure out is the 90-degree piece that'll sit on top of the outside edges of the tub.
Yes.
the internal angle between the fingers of that box joint.
I get it now. I totally
That'll
get
be
it
cut
now.
at 45, and everything will sit perfectly level and perfectly even to then come down on the other side.
I get it.
And be the tub table on the interior.
I don't know. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's been a fun project. I've enjoyed having to dive into this one. So, yeah.
Well, if you take the
like
one, if you
the
take the
math in
one and you have a block that's going 45 at the saw,
Yep.
and then you pull that piece to it,
That's what I'm doing.
and then it'll cut the
Yeah.
Okay,
But
that's sexy. I've never seen that. I guess.
Yeah, I hadn't either, which is why I had like 2.5 hours to make the jig.
So we were talking about like how you feel stupid. I'm like, I don't even have TikTok anymore because I deleted it because I'm an idiot. And I'm looking through Instagram, and there's just like it's I don't know if it's China or Japan, something weird, and because all the text is in some other language. But these guys are making this stuff with like a Makita router, dovetails and stuff, and all he does is like take a block of wood and then cut a little groove in it, and he's like, look, you've just made a template for your router. So like line this edge up with this. And then he's just like, and he makes it so simple. And I'm like, why didn't I think of these things? I mean, he's got like an Amazon dovetail bit and a Makita router, and he is like making the most beautiful stuff.
It's because that's all he had. He had to make it work.
And I've had to deal with that lately. Done. It's funny because like I didn't have my jigsaw today, and I had to cut some corners out of a top. And I said, how am I going to do this? And I put 2 blocks of wood on to cut because cut most of it with a track saw. Yeah. But then when you get to the corner, I just put 2 blocks of wood and used a buzzy and rested it up against a piece of wood and used it as like a template, and it cut better than the jigsaw.
Nice.
And what's that saying, Ross? That the mother of invention is necessity.
Yeah.
So very much.
Nice. Well, anyway. On that note, Jess, what do you have for us this week in regards to fun and excitement?
Oh, I hope you have your computer up, which obviously you do, Ross. I have got a wood of the week that I know you're going to hate, and it's not cherry.
Oh.
Ooh.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Wow. Wood of the week.
So my grandmother had these tables, and I've seen these tables in other people's houses, kind of mid-century. You might have seen them too. It's a very blonde wood, not maple. And a lot of them had like a bronze band that went around them. I've seen them in a mid-century design as well. It's a very, very blonde wood veneer. And I'm pretty sure this is the wood. Okay. So this week's wood of the week is Avodire, Avodire. If you want to look it up, Ross, Avodire. It is more bland in the pictures than cherry. But oddly enough, had a very, like if you go to Wood Databases, they've got a good.
So some of these, like with the quilting that you can get in there, that's beautiful. But like you look at the majority of just like flats on, and you're like, that literally just looks like beech wood. It's real boring.
So what happens? Right. Yeah. It's like very silly grain, no color variation, nothing. The quilting, yes, that's probably when it's quarter sawn, right?
Yes.
But like the plain sawn or rotary cut is wah. And as it turns out, I'm pretty sure this is with you because it's not that expensive. It's been used for years. It's
Where
not
is it
endangered.
from?
It is from West and Central Africa, including countries like Nigeria, Ghana, and the Ivory Coast. So it's sometimes compared to satin wood. I found a thing in here. What do they call it? It says like something about halo, and it's been marketed under the commercial name African satin wood. But this is a vague name more commonly used for Movingui.
Common spelling, obviously.
Well, what's interesting is that these wood companies are so smart that they will market a boring wood under a great name, even somebody else's name, because none of these names are copyrighted.
Yep.
And sell more of it. So $15 to $25 per board foot. Janka hardness is somewhere between like 1100, 830, something like that, a little softer than oak. It is used in veneer work mostly, paneling, cabinetry, high-end furniture, musical instruments. So the quilting, like on the back of a
Guitar.
like a Les Paul, like a hollow body, definitely going to be on there. It's pretty stable, but it's easy to work with, right? Because it's not so stinking hard, like a maple or something like that. And it has minerals in it, right? So that's why when you put, like Colton does, 100 coats of lacquer on it, and you're looking at it, it shimmers, right?
Yep.
It just shimmers in the light. So that's why I picked it. So it kind of just depends on how you look at it.
Okay.
It could be absolutely beautiful or absolutely boring.
Whoa, I just had a weird discovery. So there was a really cool guitar done with it. A heavily quilted piece of this veneer of Avedire,
Right.
and it was a purple stain on it. It looks amazing. But I clicked on the link, and it says Wood of the Week, Avedire.
Huh.
Apparently, there's some wooden fixtures company, DP Juza. They do a Wood of the Week. They're copying us.
I think a lot of people do. There's a lot to go through.
Oh,
Well, anyway, so that's this week's Wood of the Week, Avedire.
I like it. Do you have a
Awesome.
trivia to go along with that?
I do.
Let's get after it. Better get on out that knowledge because it's trivia time.
All right, a couple of these are easy. Most of them are actually quite hard, and you will learn some new cool words for woodworking if you haven't already found these. This week's wood trivia is on veneers.
Ooh.
Okay, it's on veneers. And we are going to start with, I think we started with Colton last week, so we'll start with Rossaroni this week. Let me know when you're ready. All right. What is the most common method used to slice veneer for highly figured appearance? Is it flat slicing, rotary peeling, or quarter slicing?
Rotary peeling.
That is incorrect.
Really?
Yes. The highly figured appearance comes from quarter slicing. Quarter slicing, right? Like zebra wood doesn't look like anything unless it's quarter sawn. Tiger oak, which is basically white oak with quarter sawn, right? Quarter sawn.
I think I left out in my mind the highly figured part.
Yes. All right, moving on.
I think I might have guessed rotary too. So,
Question number 2. Which type of veneer cut results in continuous sheet with a wavy or wild grain pattern? Is it rotary cut,
was it
rift
rotary?
cut,
Yeah,
half round cut? That is correct, rotary cut. So I don't know if you've ever seen it, especially with like birch factories. Oh my God, it's so unbelievable.
Yeah.
The way
it still blows my mind that we can't make plywood like Russia here.
Well,
it's because we don't have the same tree.
And they don't want to wait.
It blows my mind that we can't like plant it or something like figure it out with another wood or something.
Well, what I will say is if you watch them on the factories, the first several dozen pieces while the tree is getting rounded of veneer are garbage. That's what they use to make cheap plywood. They use that anyway, and that's why there's all those hollows.
Yeah.
It involves peeling the veneer off a log like a roll of paper, creating wide sheets with swirled, unpredictable grain, often seen in plywood faces. And you also see it repeat, right? Because it's just this log and this giant pencil sharpener thing. So.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Question number 3, Ross. Which exotic wood is prized for its highly figured veneer, often featuring a pommel or quilted effect? P-O-M-E-L-L-E. Wenge, sapelli, or zebra wood?
I'm going to go Wenge.
That's incorrect. That's a good guess. Sapelli veneer can display a striking pommel or quilted figure. So that's our word we learned today, pommel.
Pommel and quilting are the same?
Pommel or quilting, yeah. At P-O-M-E-L-L-E, that's right? That's not pommel. Or quilted figure making a popular choice for musical instruments and luxury automobiles.
Automobile?
That's correct. All right. All right, you ready, Colt?
Yep.
In high-end veneering, what is the purpose of balancing veneer on a panel? Is it to ensure a symmetrical appearance, to prevent warping and movement, or to reduce costs?
Appearance.
Incorrect. This one I did know is to prevent warping and movement. As the veneer dries, it shrinks. So if you don't put another veneer on the other side, it'll pull it.
What do you mean by balancing? Like covering the
like,
whole piece?
Yeah,
Or-
both sides. Both sides of the plywood. Because if you only put veneer on one side's going to shrink and expand. Just kind of like if you paint one side and don't paint the other side.
Oh, I was picturing you. I was picturing like book matching on the front of a piece when you said that. Okay, that makes sense.
That's okay, but that's what that refers to. It says apply veneer to both sides of a panel with equal thickness helps balance moisture absorption and prevents warping due to differential expansion. So I learned that when I took that woodworking school. They were doing it in vacuum bags. And she's like, you got to put veneer on the other side too. Otherwise, that's why like when I buy walnut plywood, they got some sort of like junk oak on the other side. Or if I buy oak, there's like junk walnut on the back. You have to put veneer on both sides. So, all right, moving on. Question number 5, Ross. Which of the following adhesives, and I'm going to say, I'm going to say that this is probably still a thing. Is commonly used in high quality veneering due to its strong bond and rigidity, especially in historic restorations. Is
Horse glue?
Well, hide glue, correct. Polyurethane hide or hide glue has been used for centuries, and there's a reason that they still use hide glue to this day.
It's because you can heat it up and take it apart and fix it.
That is right. Reversible bond. Reversible bond. Very good. All right, moving on. Colt, what is the main advantage of using a vacuum press when applying a veneer? Is it speeds up dry time, it applies even pressure across the entire surface, or it allows for thicker veneer layers?
Even pressure.
Even pressure. That is right.
I was gonna say get the bubbles out, but yeah, even pressure.
Like clamps or rollers are one thing, but there's nothing better than a vacuum. It's perfect pressure all the way around, and it removes air. So, all right, Ross, Colton was talking about this. What is book matching in veneer work?
It's when you have a mirrored piece on either side of a seam.
Right. So it's like basically that piece was cut, and then you flip it. Joining consecutive veneer sheets to mirror their grain pattern. All right, very good. Creates like an open book.
Correct.
Very good. Or it always looks like a bug eye to me, or some sort of alien face or something.
I mean, if there's a knot in there for sure, because it's on equal, it's
so cool.
Totally matched. Yeah.
People do that with slabs too. When they
True story.
Tables. Yeah. All right, Colton. Which species is known for its exceptional or exceptionally fragile and brittle veneer, making it very difficult to work with? Is it Babinga, Macassar ebony, or cherry?
Saying it's a fragile. Let's go cherry. There's a lot of furniture made from. That's not cherry. Okay.
Incorrect. So Macassar ebony, and I'll explain why, is prized for its striking dark stripes, but that makes it very brittle, and those stripes will actually kind of come apart. So it requires very sharp tools to prevent cracking during application. Out of the three, that's the most fragile. Okay, Ross.
Yeah, I'm getting new razor blades all the time whenever I'm doing like real fine.
You use an X-Acto knife?
Just like a utility knife.
Okay.
But and just grabbing new blades. I mean, I do keep a little X-Acto knife on, but I like the stronger, so I can punch through that veneer.
I gotcha. Something more to hold on to. All right, Ross. What is the primary disadvantage of using veneer over solid wood in furniture making? A, veneer is less durable over time. B, it limits refinishing options. Or C, veneer is more prone to insect damage.
It limits refinishing options.
That is right. That's why when customers come and say, hey, can you sand this down and restain it? I say, no, I cannot, because I will probably sand through the veneer.
Yep.
That solid wood
You can
is
strip
great.
it though.
You can strip it. You're all right. But
Or I can paint over it.
yeah, baby.
Well, there we go.
Paint it, distress it. All right. Last one. Which historical period saw a major rise in the popularity of veneered furniture, especially using exotic woods? Is it Victorian, Baroque, or Art Deco? This is Colton.
Ooh, I think I know this one.
Oh, crap. I think I don't. Let's go Art Deco.
Incorrect.
Ooh.
Oh,
Incorrect.
That was going to be my answer, too.
The Baroque era 17th century European furniture makers perfected the use of exotic veneers, creating intricate marquetry and elaborate inlays using woods like walnut, ebony, and kingwood.
And as builders
Yeah.
back then used to say, if it ain't Baroque, don't fix it.
Don't fix it. This is right. That was a
I
hard
thought, I
one.
thought they were using veneers because they were Baroque and wanted to use poplar underneath.
All right. So we learned pommel is quilted,
Mm-hmm.
and then we learned they use sapelli in cars.
Yeah.
And two good puns for Baroque.
That's
There you go.
right.
Hey, I have a quick question. I need to use it tomorrow, actually. I just remembered it. Long story short, I have a broken leg on a terrible
horse?
design. No,
Shoot it.
it's a terrible design of a dresser, but basically I have it's cylindrical, but it's like curvy cylindrical, right?
Mhm.
Piece that I need. It's about 5 inches long, and I need to drill a perfect about 5/8 hole directly through it. How would y'all secure that piece and drill this hole
Make a jig.
and put it on the drill press?
Yes.
Figure out
How do you
whatever's
make a
fitting.
jig that holds a cylinder like that? Do you?
So, do you have wooden clamps,
yes.
like the ones you crank?
Yeah.
Use one of those to clamp it on either side, and then you can use other clamps to hold it down perfectly straight. And then you can drill straight into it.
Or if you could build like a little tube, like a square tube to hold it, that would hold it up. You could kind of wedge
Or-
in there.
Do you have
Well,
a lathe? Do you have a
it-
lathe in the shop?
We do.
So
it's not been used since I've been here, though.
The easiest way to do this is take. So essentially, you may have to like put in a dowel or something to be able to hold the cylindrical piece onto the chuck, and you can slide it towards the drill bit perfectly even on the lathe, and just drill it out.
Yeah, I'd considered that it would be quite a bit of adding to it in order to have something good you could grab on, because the wood itself is not.
Couldn't
not in
you
great
use a blue
condition,
tape and
but-
CA glue trick?
Oh, that
Mhm.
maybe that plus something with the clamps.
Why don't
Uh-huh.
you just take a drill and hold it in one hand and take the drill in the other and hope for the best?
So I'd started with that. First, like the drill bit we're using is really aggressive. The first time I did it, I clamped it to a bench, right? And we
Mhm.
used our wooden end of the bench clamp, and supposed to be quick fix, right? And I missed. I was too far off by the time it came out the other side, and this is something I've already fixed once, and then it broke. I only used a 1/2 inch dowel originally. And then now we got to come back in with a 5/8 inch dowel, which it's about a 3/4 of an inch thin at one of these curves. It's just a whole mess. I'm gonna have to rebuild part of it out with wood, but okay, that's some good stuff to chew on. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Do it like they do a pencil. Cut it in half.
Yeah,
Scoop out the middle, and then put it back together.
yeah, that's pretty invasive. I mean, it worked.
So I have a question for the two of you gentlemen before we jump on.
Ooh.
I realize whilst we were on here, this will be the last episode of this podcast to air before Workbench Con. At this point, next week,
Yeah.
Colton, you and I will be at Workbench Con. Jess, unfortunately, will not be able to join us, but he will definitely be there in spirit. And I'm going to need to lean on you this week, Jess, for a couple things.
Okay.
But my question to you gentlemen is, if there are listeners out there who are going to Workbench Con for the first time or possibly the second time, what should they be looking for, doing? What should they expect?
For Workbench Con?
Yeah.
A lot of walking.
Yep.
A lot of talking.
Yep.
A lot of drinking.
Yep.
Don't be shy, right? Like, yeah. Like, everyone there, once you have your first conversation, you realize, oh, we're all kind of like-minded. We like getting creative and making stuff.
Yeah,
and
we're all the same.
It makes the conversation so easy. So don't be shy.
I would say,
now bring stickers. Bring your stickers.
Yes. So stickers is the number one thing you need to bring as far as things to trade. If you haven't already, invest in some sort of a digital business card or a QR code that you can use to get your information to everybody else. That way they can, if you use a digital business card service like Popple or some other ones, you're able to collect their information as well. So it works out pretty well. But have a T-shirt or two for yourself, but you do not need to be head to toe in all of your own branded gear. So, and my other word of advice to people is, all the folks that you've seen on YouTube and social media that they are, garnering hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views per post. They're just people. And some of them are actually afraid to talk to other people because they live a very isolated life like the rest of us in the shop on their own. So just talk to everybody like a normal person, and you'll be surprised how far you get. So
the other thing I would say is, like, take a look at the classes and get there early, because there was a couple that I really gained. I still refer to some things that I learned in some of the filmmaking ones and stuff.
Yeah.
And make sure that you go to them and you get there early, because they fill up fast. So you got 2 days of it. Pick a couple one day and pick a couple the other day.
Yeah, I made a couple classes,
and make sure
over 2 years.
Make sure that
there's some really good stuff in classes.
Everybody who is attending Workbench Con this year that is listening, make sure you're at the opening night icebreaker event. Colton and I will be hosting it. That's all I'm going to say. But
that's all we can say.
It's all we can say for right now.
Man,
it'll be a great time, and everybody will truly enjoy.
Yeah.
So,
oh, and I'm getting there Wednesday night now.
Where are you staying Wednesday night?
In the hotel.
Okay.
I got a room.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I figured it. Yeah. I'll be in like 9:30. So
PM?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyone there Wednesday, catch me.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is, you cannot drink enough water at this event. So bring some sort of water bottle, because you talk and talk and talk, and you need water, and you need to rehydrate after drinking other things. So, yeah. And
snacks for your room.
Snacks are key. Do not skimp on the snacks.
Like, order Walmart and have them delivered to the hotel. We did that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Because it is
I don't need to bring snacks or water, because y'all are so prepared. You bring it for me, and then I have it.
I also have a trunk full of booze that I bring with. So
is the
it's coming
making an appearance?
Of course.
Oh,
yeah.
It said sponsored by Old Elk on their thing.
Yes. Initially, it was Old Elk had to back out sponsorship wise. But I will still be there sampling people. So
right. I feel like that was really cool. It got to introduce a lot of people to some really good whiskeys.
Mm-hmm. And there'll be more chance of that. So
wow.
All right. With that in mind, I think it's time we talk about a little bit of whiskey.
Woo!
Let's do it.
Showtime! Woo, 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 woo. The
Whiskey of the Week.
The whiskey of the week, coming back from 2 weeks ago, is the Wyatt Earp. Was it the single barrel? No.
Small batch.
Small batch. Wyatt Earp small batch whiskey. Colton, were you able to procure it and did it dandy?
Dude, this one was worth the wait.
Okay.
Very, very neat whiskey. So first off, just the bottle itself is pretty cool. Like there's like a little deputy badge metal on the front, and then the top of it is like an old revolver.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
It's got little bullets, makes you feel cool. But yeah, the Wyatt Earp. Man, where do I start? So whenever you pour it, like before you finish pouring, you can smell it like real big, and it's like an attack of like raisins and
What
leather.
proof did this one come in at?
I don't even know,
Because there was another one that was like 160 something proof.
I know, that'd be fun. We'll have to try that sometime. So 48%, was that 96?
Yeah.
Yeah, 96 proof, which I think is perfect for this whiskey.
Okay.
But yeah, so like before you don't have to put your nose up to the glass. It's like strong smell and really dark in color, but it's like raisins and leather. And I didn't come to leather conclusion until later, but yeah, it was like not dirty, but like just kind of dark.
Okay.
And
Tan leather with pee.
the what?
Don't they tan leather with pee?
Yeah.
All right, it's just a side point.
Nice. But yeah, no. Then once you do nose it, it's basically the same, but a little grainier.
Okay.
A little hot. Like when I was just like smelling it without ice in it, it calms down a little more. Obviously with ice. But then on the palate, it's still like kind of like that dark fruit, but then it has like a tobacco almost spice to it, right?
Okay.
And yeah, it was really neat. Like yeah, super dark. So basically it's almost like a trail mix, if you will.
Really?
That like no one asked for. I'm talking about like the leather, tobacco, and raisins.
Yeah, it's a very interesting trail mix.
Yeah,
Chewy.
It's kind of like a trail mix for like a try-hard cowboy, maybe like some sort of Yankee who's
on the range.
who's trying to hit on like a country girl or something. And it's like, are you eating? Is that a piece of leather? He's like, yeah, yeah. Has real pieces of horse saddle. Yeah, it's a little salty from the sweat. Yeah, and 0 calories. Not that I care, but it's kind of like the trail mix. But yeah, no, it's a cool overall combination.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I would rank this one like an 8.2.
Wow.
Right? Like it's up there. Obviously the X factor, right? The oddity of the like literally it's weird to describe. It's kind of like leathery tobacco.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I love both. Yeah. But yeah, that might get tired of it if you were drinking it all night. But would I be excited to share this with a friend? Absolutely.
Awesome.
This is a cool one. I hope this one sits on my shelf for a while. And yeah, especially with the cool bottle too.
Okay.
So it was very neat. And then so when I was looking for this one, we had to order it, right?
Yep.
I did find the Doc Holiday,
Which
too,
is the brother mark from the same manufacturer.
Yeah. And that one's cool. It had like its own like gimmicks on the bottle too. Did it have a hint of Huckleberry? It does say something about Huckleberry on the front of it.
I'm your Huckleberry.
No, I didn't get to try it, but
okay.
It did come in cheaper. Oh yeah, and this bottle came in at like 80 something.
Okay.
I believe, and then like 90 something after shipping and taxes and whatever. But
was it worth the price?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is a cool one.
Awesome.
This one stands out. Absolutely.
Nice.
So.
All right. Well, the whiskey of the week going into next week, which will be the last one of this season of the Beat Around the Bench podcast,
is vodka.
It is the Middle West Pumpernickel Rye.
Oh.
So Middle West is a distillery out of Ohio, and this is their Pumpernickel Rye. And I am
they put
curious.
fennel in it?
So I'm not sure, and I want Colton, as somebody who truly appreciates a good rye, to dive into this one and let me know what you think.
I wonder. I'm trying to think if that sounds familiar. I don't think I've had this.
You probably had High West, but not Middle West.
Yeah, I've had High West.
Yeah. So that is the whiskey of the week going into next week.
Interesting.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Are we gonna sneak another episode in before Workbench Con?
I was hoping we could do that. It's probably going to have to be Monday or Tuesday next week, but we'll discuss that offline.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll figure that part out.
Woo.
So, with that in mind, Jess, you ready to jump into a snugget? You got a little something for us?
Sure.
Okay.
Welcome.
Nuggets!
And Snuggets!
All right. The nugget and or snugget of the week coming at you from this time. Anybody want to kick it off?
I'll kick it off with all
All
my
right.
headache. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can make finish on wood, like crater or fisheye,
Mm-hmm.
and everything from like finish pop. Wait, it's not finish pop. Whatever, solvent pop. I think
Yep.
they call it, like where the solvent vaporizes too early. Whatever. Usually, I'm only gonna go into detail on one. And then just like normal fisheye, whatever. Where was that? I was going to talk about silicones. Sorry, back on track. Hamster wheels back on the wheel. Okay, so silicones and lacquer are mortal enemies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And silicones can be found a lot of places, but especially in like WD-40 and stuff.
Yep.
And so we don't allow like lubricants like that in our shop for that.
Really?
reason. Yeah. And because WD-40 too, even if you are spraying something, it can stay in the air, right?
Oh.
Longer than you'd expect, from what I understand. And so when silicone's on a piece, and you spray lacquer on it, it literally just repels it, right? And it makes that crater. And one way to fix that is to say you spray and you see it cratering. You can come back with a hatch spray, which I've talked about before, where basically you hold the gun a little bit higher, a little further away, and you do a light mist, where basically it's basically like done catalyzing, I believe is the word, by the time it hits, and so it doesn't have time to repel it,
Okay.
right? And so you make like a real rough thing where it sticks to it, light sand, and then you can spray, and then now the next layer of lacquer can stick to it.
Okay.
So there's a nugget.
Interessante.
Silicones
Yes.
are the devil.
You got something?
I have a question, Nugget. I got a quugget,
A quugget.
a quugget, or a nestion. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not
So-
sure which one.
I'd like to hear from the viewers. I'm sure you guys will have an opinion on this as well. So I'm going to be starting a little small shop, like in a garage, and I know a lot about table saws, and I know what I want, and I've been looking for. As I talked about, like I bought the computer on eBay, right? I'm always for a deal. Like I don't mind getting something a little used, or refurbished, or whatever. The thought of buying an older table saw and like cleaning it up sounds pretty cool to me. And there's actually a guy not too far from my shop right now, and he fixes motors. He's been there for forever. He can fix anything. I've seen him fix motors off of boats that you wouldn't even. They're as big as a 50-gallon drum, like.
Huh.
And he just takes them apart and checks the windings. He knows how to do all that stuff, right? And brushless or brushed motors. So it doesn't scare me. And you can buy bearings for, what else is going to wear out on them?
Yeah. Belts.
On a table saw. Yeah, belts, bearings. I suppose your trunnions and stuff could crack or something if they were damaged. Or here, you got to kind of worry about flooding stuff right now with some tools. But there is a lot of delta saws.
Yep.
The ones you buy at Lowe's.
I love
there
mine.
was
Yeah.
and I got to tell you this, Ross, you're gonna poo your pants when I tell you this. So I've been, like I check it all the time. Like I'm always seeing who's dropping something new on there on Facebook Marketplace. This lady put I would say no more than a year old saw with the router table extension and all the stuff, big one, for $500. And I said, I messaged like right away, and I was like, I'll take it. And she's like, somebody's coming right now. I was like, you just posted it 2 hours ago. She goes, yeah. And she's like, it was my boyfriend's, and I'm getting rid of it. And I'm like, gotcha.
Oh.
So I keep hoping I find another one of that.
Yeah.
I will drive to your house at midnight for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that saved the zero at the end of that.
$4,000 saw for $500.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's a good. Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of these cool old like Rockwell Industries, like these big 3 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
One guy's got one that's like a beast, and it's like the paint's all worn off of it, but everything's cast iron. Like everything's cast iron and steel, and but it's 3-phase, and so he's got a phase converter he's willing to part with. And it's like $500. But it's a long way away, and like I'll have to take it apart to get it in the trailer. I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. So I just wondered if anybody, what people think of those Delta ones. They're only like 1.5 horsepower. There's a bunch of Craftsman industrial ones that are like 1 3/4 horsepower, and
Craftsman industrial.
Yeah, and then there's like a million of the rigid ones that are on a stand. These are not job site ones. These are like the ones that are.
The Delta one's on a stand, right? It's on its own leg.
It's got the loop. It's got like the loop leg on it. The one from Lowe's.
I love mine a lot. I like it.
I just don't know about the fence. That's really almost more important to me than the dang motor.
The fence is it's all right. Mine has a little bit of play in it, which it has a lot of ways to adjust it as well. I could just adjust it better, but.
Have you could ever adjusted it?
I've adjusted it before. It just feels like it's got a touch of play.
Okay.
Sometimes, like when you get really close. But I can't complain about mine. I like it a lot.
Well, this Rockwell one comes with a Vega fence, so that's a really good fence, and it's not going to go anywhere. So. I don't know. We'll see. Some of them, like I'll talk, and they're like, "Well, somebody's coming to come get it. I'll let you know," like that kind of stuff.
So the other thing to look at is online tool auctions. There's a lot of woodworking shops that are going under that you can buy something for next to nothing and get like a Powermatic or a Jet or General Industrial or one of the bigger machines for next to nothing. So take a look at some online auctions as well. But
an auction.
Yeah, I've gotten a few things where you can get some steals when somebody's like, you know what, I'm just hanging it up. I just want to get rid of this stuff. Or like, the guy who or the person passed away and the wife is like, I don't know what to do with this. So they auction it and they'll get whatever they can get. And so yeah, take a look at stuff like that. I've had an older Craftsman industrial saw. It was not worth the headache that I got it for, and it was a free saw. I had a Jet that was an older cabinet saw, and that one was a tank, but I blew out the motor because it was only in 1.5 horsepower.
Right.
And I was trying to cut through solid oak.
Yeah.
It just couldn't keep up. So if you can, that Rockwell one would be awesome. Yeah,
it's a Rockwell Unisaw. It comes with a Delta dust collector, and it is massive.
Stay away from the
steel.
Yeah, stay away from the rigid ones. Those are not well built, and the fences are garbage.
Garbage. Any fence that touches at both ends is a junk fence to me. Like if it hooks at the end, like I've had.
Oh, really? You probably wouldn't like mine then.
Any fence that, because you don't know if it's square. Like I've had a Vega fence. I've had a Shopvac fence.
Have you ever had an Incra fence?
No, but I know what they are. The Incra's the best stuff.
I had a picket fence.
Good for you, man.
Like the ones that are on all my Grizzlies, like
Yeah.
I physically can push on it and shake the whole table. Like it doesn't move.
Yeah.
And you just barely latch it down because it's just so simple to do it that way. Anyway, and you can adjust it within thousandths of an inch of square. So, these older ones, you could probably fix them, but man, is it going to be hard to move it.
Yeah,
it's going to be really hard to move it. I'm not worried about the in-feed and out-feed tables. I can make all that nice myself.
I'm going to tell you the key to being able to move some of these, and I know it's going to sound dumb. Go to Harbor Freight, get some of the furniture dollies. They're like $8 or $10.
Yeah.
Use those, and if you tip over the saw a little bit, put one of those underneath and tip it back onto the dolly, and then ratchet strap the whole thing onto it, and you can put it in the trailer, and off you go.
You want to make your life really easy, get the 4-inch wheels.
Yes.
I've got.
Or just go buy the casters and build a dolly to it. Yeah.
That guy that I was telling you guys about, James Hoogerwerf, when I bought my Grizzly saw a long time ago, it was one of those old, oh my God, it weighs so much. It just weighs so much. And he's like, just flip it over. Just roll the thing in. He's like, it'll be fine. Just don't drop it.
Yeah.
And so we flipped it over onto a dolly and rolled it on the table upside down. It rolled just fine. And it was fine when we got done with it. So the joiner, on the other hand, joiners are really tricky, but I'm not going to have a joiner. I'm actually going to do the sacrificial fence trick if I need a joiner. And try to keep it. And basically the entire thing in my head is going to be rolling. So the saw will sit on wheels and the table will sit on wheels, those kind that you can lock down. And they go up and it sits on the legs.
Yep.
So that I can move it around in the shop as needed. But that's the deal. The Rockwell looks good, but we'll see what happens. He's out of town right now, so.
I just sent you a link, Jess. Well, I sent it to both of you, but it's a link to Bid Spotter, which is one of the online auctions I've used before.
Oh, it's an online auction.
Yeah.
I just want cheap.
Well, that's the thing. You can get really good stuff for cheap.
I just need it to be near me. So I'll tell you an interesting thing about that. That James guy, he used to buy a lot of stuff on auctions, and he won for $700. He was the only one because nobody else would come get it. $700. It was like this $100,000 drum sander. It had a broken belt, but it was going to cost like $20,000 to move it because you had to pay all these tariffs and stuff when you drove it by DOT because of all these fees because it weighed so much. Not to mention hiring a jacker. What do they call that? A
forklift?
Guys, no, yeah, but they have a name for it. The kind of people that do that stuff.
Yeah.
I have forklifts and they put it on a truck and they load it.
Yeah.
So but I don't know. It was a big woodworking shop that went out of business. But I will look at it, Ross. I will.
Wait, what did he end up doing? How did he move it? Now I'm curious.
He didn't.
Oh, okay.
So 3 other people found out it was going to weigh too much and too hard to move it. And that there was like the winning bid, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then finally it got to him, and he's like, "Okay, great." And then he started to research it, and he's like, "I don't want it either. It's not worth it." Because they didn't list the weight
moving price,
on the auction, and so that was
Ross, this Bid Spotter website is wild.
Yes,
right. So
you're all over the place.
You're starting off with like factory giant machinery, like bigger than my shop, and then I went through about 6 of those, and then someone's selling a bucket of wood stain after that.
Yeah, that's like a Ryobi chop saw.
It's funny, the opening price on it's $25, whereas the opening price on the other machines were $10. But
it's wild, but it's fun to just kind of scroll through because every now and then you find some gems. But if you're outfitting a shop, that's a great way to do it. So,
yeah,
especially
if I just found one in Snyder, Texas. Look at that.
Like if you can find some stuff that's all coming from one auction, and you get like a table saw and a chop saw and a planer, and and ship it all together, it actually ends up being cheaper. So, so for me, my nugget was going to be spend your time doing as much prep work as you can before you do any kind of priming or painting, the more time you spend prepping, the less time you'll have to do in painting and finishing and everything else. So spend the extra effort, because whatever you can do to save yourself on the back end, it's a lot easier when you have open wood grain to fix things rather than after you put primer and paint on there. So, yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's the key to painting.
Mm-hmm.
Is the prep. The painting part's usually not too bad.
So with that in mind, I have one other request for the folks who are listening at home. We are still in need of some suggestions for show titles for season 3 of the Beat Around the Bench podcast. So feel free to send in your submissions either to beataroundthebench@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram, shoot us a DM anywhere on there. We would love to hear any kind of suggestions you guys have for titles of the episodes for season 3.
Oh, hey, just to get the wheels turning. Something with dog breeds.
Breeds.
It seems tough, but maybe a few good gems. I don't know. It's rough. Just an idea.
Part of me just wants to name it after like each episode will be named after like a top 40 Billboard song, so that people will literally search for whatever that song is and hit ours in the algorithm. So yeah, we'll see. But you boys have anything else you want to cover?
No, I'm good.
Oh, that's it.
Well, then, to the listeners out there, to those of you that we will see at Workbench Con, come on up to us, say hello, shake our hands, come get a sticker, and make sure you are there at the Icebreaker event on Thursday night. So, to the listeners out there who may or may not be coming to Workbench Con, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button wherever you're listening to this podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. We hope you enjoyed every second of this episode. If you didn't, please send all your complaints to our disco dancing legal representation at Tony Monero's Legal Aids, where their motto is, for Tony Monero, freedom comes once a week. It comes on Saturday night. It's called Saturday Night Fever. For Jess, Colton, and Ross, this has been the Beat Around the Bench podcast, and we will catch you all next time.
See ya.
Woo!